So I'm going to have a talk about government spending and where we're going. I don't know how we're going to explain this because I have a foot in two worlds. I have a foot in this world where all the rest of you all are. And then I have a foot in a pie in the sky world that we call 5D, the fifth dimension. So I have one foot in 3D, one foot in 5D. And it's very difficult to, well, it's not too difficult for me. I just let go and see what's going to happen. But, you know, when I was a 3D person, when I had 2 feet in 3D, I used to love to talk about government spending and usually how stupid the things were. So in the nutshell, today I saw 2 news announcements. One from Ontario Province, well, 3 spending announcements. One from Ontario Province in Canada, one from the Canadian government, and one from the local city government. And they were all about spending lots and lots and lots and lots of money. The Canadian government and the province were spending a lot of money on especially teachers, doubling the number of teachers to cut the class sizes in half so that somehow that was going to get better for COVID-19 and children. Strange but true, the teachers have been complaining for a long time that they don't like large class sizes, and they actually went on strike less than a year ago to reduce class sizes before COVID-19, and now they're going to get what they want. Much reduced class sizes, which means you're going to, if you cut the number of students from 30 to 15, you're going to need twice as many teachers. So, in a province as large as Ontario Province, there's an enormous number of teachers already. And if you're going to double the number of teachers, well, the government's going to have a huge price tag on that, because teachers, they basically work for about $100,000 a year, 100,000 Canadian a year, plus benefits and all kinds of other side deals. So you're going to double the education budget in one fell swoop. Now it'll create a lot of good paying jobs in Ontario Province, because these teacher jobs that's if you're lucky to get one, you'll be lucky to have a good job if they're going to keep up these class sizes of 15. In my 3D hat, I'm going to say, how the hell are you going to pay for this? Generally speaking, the people who ask for these kind of big spends don't care. They don't care. Are they aware that these things have to be paid for? Most of my people don't care. Why? Because they're just not educated in finances of government. And they're pretty much too stupid to go and look into, why do I call it? Because humans on planet Earth in general are born stupid, and a lot of them get stupider as time goes on. But Ontario Province, before COVID-19, was known to be the biggest in debt of any state or province, subnational government they call it, any state or province. Ontario was the number 1 place in debt. And if you're in the United States, you might have heard of like California being heavily in debt. Nothing. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. It's like per capita, it's about a tenth the amount of debt that Ontario Province carries. And well, This is where is the money going to come from? I mean, COVID-19 killed the economy in Ontario, just like everywhere else. So, enormous spend of fresh money on something that was already being looked after. I mean, there was already a school system that was working, and now you're going to double the cost of it, and you already have the highest debt of anywhere. Is that smart? No, it's stupid. Incredibly stupid. You should be looking at ways of getting more tax revenue into Ontario province, which means more business activity. And you should be looking at cutting out frills. And Ontario province, the past few years, in my town, everywhere else as well, it's spending like a drunken sailor. It had schools that were perfectly good schools, and it shut them down, and then built a brand new school in my town. This was like, why? You got perfectly good buildings, why shut them down? Why empty perfectly good buildings and then spend a fortune on a new building? It's only because they can. They can, so they do. You know, don't you realize that this is like, you're already in huge debt? They don't care. Now you might think, well, this must be like, if you're in the United States, you would think, this is probably, I don't know what you would think anymore, who overspends the most. But, you know, in Canada, we usually say, you know, the big spending government is a liberal government, and the ones that are going to cut back are the conservative governments. That doesn't really happen. That's what they say at politics time. But Ontario province is run by a conservative government. And they're spending like drunken sailors. The previous government was liberal and they spent like drunken sailors. It doesn't matter who you elect. They're all the same. Spend, spend, spend on stuff they don't need. And, you know, in my town, they just went ahead with, my town is 100,000 people, and the industry has pretty much vacated. You know, all the good paying jobs from 30 years ago, industrial jobs, have all gone. So the young people, they're not making a lot of money, and they're going to be saddled with all this debt for stuff that was unnecessary and unneeded. And in my city, it already has the highest municipal taxes of any city in Ontario province. Nevertheless, City Council last night decided to go ahead and spend $33 million that they don't have. Someone will say, well, they got the money to get... Well, someone financed it for them. But they're going to spend $33 million on a new mega project for the city. And who's going to pay for it? Well, they're just going to raise taxes. And it doesn't matter who you put into city council. City councils are designed so that, you know, there's so many people on the council. How are you going to change a runaway train of, I don't know, maybe it's a dozen councillors? How are you going to change all of their minds? You can't. You can't, because they always seem to get big spenders that get in there. And you sway 2 or 3 of them, it's not enough. So the whole municipal system in Ontario province is stupid, dysfunctional. And the province itself is dysfunctional, and Canada, the main Canadian government, run by the Prime Minister, is dysfunctional. He said he was going to spend a whole pile of money, give a bunch of money to Ontario province. Where's it all going to come from, Justin Trudeau, after you ruined the economy by buying into this fraud of COVID-19? Justin Trudeau calls everything that goes into debt, he calls it an investment. He has since he first ran for Prime Minister. He doesn't look at things as ever being costs, they're always investments. This is what a salesman does to you. You want to buy a boat, you're going to invest in a boat. It's not going to cost you anything. It's an investment. You're going to enjoy your investment. It's just a change in wording, and it changes the tune. Spin doctoring, and that's what Justin Trudeau does. Jackass. So, what does it mean? Well, the Canadian economy, like the rest of the world economies, was destroyed by COVID-19. And going and spending more money that you don't have when your revenue is going to be way down because business activity is way down, and then just going into debt more and more to spend money on things we don't need. And where's the budget for this? Justin Trudeau, who is what is known as, in British parlance, a hung parliament. In Canadian, we call it a minority parliament. He did what is called proroguing Parliament, which is basically, I'm not going to report to Parliament at all. I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want as a dictator. And, you know, he's a Liberal Prime Minister. Where did he learn this from? The previous Conservative Prime Minister did the same action. The people who are running the government have got so many loopholes, so they don't have to face reality. And they know it. And, you know, the news on Instagram today was, well, the cabal has already chosen who they want to be president this fall. And they're going to go through all this electioneering, but it's already been chosen who's going to win. They didn't announce it, but the cabal chooses who's going to be the president and who's going to be the senators. They choose because they run the media. Where do you get the information about who wins? Well, you look it up in the, in the olden days in the newspaper, but the TV news and the internet news is going to tell you who won the election. They control it all. And Donald Trump already explained that in the last election campaign. It's rigged, folks. So there is no democracy, as much as they try and make it seem like, to get you sucked into it. The whole thing is a shit show. And in the end, they're going to come after you for your tax money because you're going to have to pay for it even though you didn't want it. That's the 3D news for today. Now, I told you this is the way I used to be, and I used to just get so pissed off, and I felt so disempowered. It's like, this goes on, it's gone on my whole lifetime. Government after government, waste after waste, scandal after scandal, politicians stealing money from the government, putting it in their own pocket, endless corruption. And that's a 3D way of looking at it, and in the end you can just turn red in the face, but it's not going to change anything. So my other foot is in what we call the fifth dimension. And in 5D, what would we say about these particular projects? In 5D, we wouldn't worry about it at all. Because in 5D, we don't have any taxes. We don't have any money. We are on what we call a gift economy. For more information on the gift economy, the textbook that's really good is by Charles Eisenstein. It's called Sacred Economics. And you can take a look at that. We don't want to go too far into all of this stuff because, generally speaking, it's all what I call right-brained stuff. It's all about too many words and too many things. When you get to the fifth dimension, it's not like 3D where you got to write everything down on paper and have a lawyer look at it and have a lawyer's lawyer look at it and then go to city council and get 12 people to approve it. It doesn't work like that in 5D. How things come to be is mostly, it's just generosity. People feel generous and participate as they can in various things that are all run through consciousness itself. Isn't things run through consciousness now? No. Things today are run through control structures. You know, it's like you riding a horse and you've got reins, and you pull on the reins one way and the horse goes right, etc., etc. Controlling things. In fifth dimensional worlds, we don't pull on reins on horses. Then you'd wonder, well, how does anything ever get done? It's a totally different mindset than what we have here on planet Earth. How are we ever going to switch to the fifth dimension? Well, there are lots of very dedicated people who are working on raising our vibration, raising our frequency, raising our consciousness as a collective. And these are the way showers for all of this. And we have an example. No, we don't have an example on planet Earth of this 5D kind of stuff. Maybe there's some small time stuff that people are doing. You know, maybe it's like you go to the coffee shop and then you buy a coffee for the person behind you in line, you know, pay it forward. That would be a good idea. If you remember these pay it forward things, that's a 5D kind of thinking. So, am I concerned about the enormous debts that these 3D governments are taking on? No. I have to choose a no or a yes. I'm going to go with no, because as much debt that they're rolling around in, what's going to happen, probably we are not even going to see it. But if we were going to see it, we would have a debt jubilee where all debts were canceled, and then, you know, all the stuff that we've got is ours to enjoy. But it's not likely that this is even going to be necessary, because we're expecting it's going to be more and more like you waking up from a dream, and the dream that you're going to wake up from is 3D Earth. And you're going to wake up and you're going to be in 5D Earth. And it's going to happen, we're told, because there's so many people who are working on raising their vibration. Those of you that don't work on raising your vibration and are not interested at all in making changes, you're just going to wake up. And the people who are doing the work are just going to transfer so much energy through your reality and through you that you're going to be gifted with the change to the fifth dimension. It sounds wacko to some of you, but if it doesn't sound wacko to you, then you're probably already in a fifth dimensional mindset. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and share. My name is Joseph Elemental, and I'm in charge of getting you a bunch of elephants in your... Why? Well, just because elephants are kind of fun.